Welcome into the Joey Wright Show. It's the third episode of Season 2, and I, of course, am Joey Wright. We have a lot planned for this third episode. We're going to talk some baseball. I know I briefly discussed it on last week's Rundown. Speaking of which, we will have another edition of the Rundown coming up later in the program. But first, I want to talk about something. As regular viewers know, I make the journey from my house here to the Urbana Public Television studio each and every time we do this show. That's about 1.5 miles, give or take a little bit, the distance from my house to UPTV. And lately I've been enjoying a quality sports beverage when I make that trip to here, obviously. Today I decided to go with a lemon lime Powerade. It's a nice refreshing beverage. I like Powerade a lot. My dad, my brother, and I were at Schnucks the other day, and we bought 12 of these. Buy 5, get 1 free was the deal. So we bought 10 and got 2 for free. Powerade, of course, it's a quality beverage. It's got a lot of sugar in it. A lot of sugar housed within a bottle of Powerade. And that brings me to my next point. The city of Philadelphia last week passed a tax on soda. 1.5 cents per ounce is the tax implemented on soda and sugary beverages, which I presume includes Powerade. Couldn't find a source that told me that for sure, but as per my notes here, the tax is on sugary beverages, which includes sodas, energy drinks, and juices with less than 50% fruit juice, so we can assume that it includes this little beverage right here, as well as my personal favorite beverage, Mountain Dew. Obviously, as those who know me, even a little bit can infer, I'm very, very much against this tax. I think that sugary beverages should have all of the, and I really don't know what the word I'm looking for is, sugary beverages should have all of the reputation that non-sugary beverages have. Bear with me, because this is America, and we should be able to drink this soda, or this sports drink, or water, and just feel the same about what we're drinking. Now obviously it goes without saying that soda is certainly less healthy than water, but that's all right. I don't need anyone looking out for me, taxing my beverages. I can look out for myself just fine. I drink a lot of Mountain Dew, and I'm doing all right as of Tuesday, June 21st at 11:42 a.m. I'm doing all right. I don't need taxes on my beverages. So to the leaders of Philadelphia and Berkeley, California, who's also passed a similar tax, and to any other, mayor or councilman of any other city that's considering a tax on soda, sports drinks, sugary beverages, or anything like that, tax this, because that's the road you're heading down. But I'm not trying to be confrontational. Because leaders of cities are going to do what they please, and I'll deal with that. So I offer just one word to the people passing taxes on sugary beverages or anything. Cheers. I really don't like this hat. But that's beside the point. We'll be right back. We're going to talk some baseball and then another edition of the Rundown. Stick with us on the Joey Wright Show. Back on the Joey Wright Show, a few things I want to talk about before we talk about baseball. Obviously, I was aiming for that introduction to be just a little over the top. But obviously my stance is clear. I am against that tax on soda, 100%. On soda, sugary beverages, things like that. That tax, 100% I am against. I gotta tell you, it has been an interesting morning. I woke up, overslept just a little bit. Not a lot, to where you'd think, man, I overslept a lot. But just a little bit to where it threw my whole morning off. I was printing off my script. I write out material each night before the show. Printing out the script, and then the printer, and this had never happened to me before, decided to jam up. I had a paper jam, so I'm missing the last page of my script. which is just the standings for the National League. So I will pull those standings up on my phone when we get to that point. So anyways, I get these 2 pages. One of them is just the, it just says the Joey Wright Show Season 2, Episode 3 on it. One of them is actual material. Get those 2 pages, get a little money, buy the Mountain Dew, walk out the door, and this bag, this Urbana Tigers bag, it says, "Truth is, Urbana Tigers know the facts," whatever that means, broke on me when I was walking here. So it has certainly been a turbulent morning for me. I'm just glad to be here. Let's talk some baseball. I'm going to start off with the just a run through of the standings, and then we'll kind of go through my predictions. Of course, last week on the rundown, I predicted the Chicago Cubs to win the World Series, and that's a prediction that, you know, when you predict the Cubs to win the World Series, obviously it's been proven that the odds are not in your favor for that prediction to come true. And I'm not good to predict, you know, I'm not good at predicting things to begin with. But I'm pretty good at predicting baseball. We'll get to that in a second. First, let's run through the standings. First, the American League East. And real quick, I want to point out that these standings accurate as of Monday, June 20th, 2016. I finished typing this up after all the games have gone final. AL East, Orioles, 40-29. They lead the Red Sox. Red Sox have a record of 39-30. Toronto is in third, 39-33 are the Blue Jays. The New York Yankees are in fourth. They are 34-35, 1 game under 500. And then the Tampa Bay Rays, formerly Devil Rays. I went to a Rays game when I was like, I don't know, young, a few months old. 31-37. They are last in the East. In the Central, I believe Cleveland has the lead in that division. 39-30 is their record. Kansas City, 38-31. Then Detroit, 35-35, right at 500. The Chicago White Sox having a pretty good year. They've surprised me. They're at 34-36 right now. And rounding out the American League Central, the Minnesota Twins, 21-48. Twins, my goodness, they were good last year too. They almost made the postseason. Shame what's going on in Minnesota right now. American League West, Texas. Rangers are my team. I'm going to a Rangers game later this summer, as a matter of fact. 46-25. They lead the division by 10 games over the Seattle Mariners, or something like 10 games. Not entirely sure. Mariners are 36-34. Houston, 35-36. Los Angeles, 31-39. And then Oakland, 28-41. I'm trying to look at the camera, but I got to look down at the records. Wild card standings, Boston and Kansas City are the 2 wild card teams. Toronto, half a game out. And Seattle is the 4th wild card team, but they're on my phone. I just want to double check. They are, I don't have the wild card standings on my phone. Thanks, ESPN app. But I believe the Mariners are 3.5 games out, if I remember correctly, as of last night. To the National League, the Washington Nationals lead the NL East. They lead the Miami Marlins. I want to say Florida Marlins each time, but they're the Miami Marlins now. 37-33. New York Mets, 36-32, are in third. The Philadelphia Phillies, the Philadelphia Soda Taxers, 30-41, 13 games out. And then the Atlanta Braves, 23-46, almost as bad as the Twins, but not quite. They sit 19 games out in the NL East. Chicago Cubs lead the National League Central Division, 11.5 games above the St. Louis Cardinals. They are 36-33, are the Cards. Pittsburgh, 34-36. Milwaukee, 31-39. Cincinnati, 27-43. They're 21 games out of the Central Division lead. San Francisco leads the West, 44-27. I got tripped up there. Are the Giants. We're good. Dodgers, 39-33. Rockies, 33-39. 33-36, excuse me. Arizona's 33-39. They're in 4th. And then San Diego is 29-42. The Padres are one of the biggest disappointments ever. I really thought going into last year that they'd be better than they were last year. They weren't. And I thought that they'd be all right going into this year. They weren't. They aren't. So they're pretty bad, are the Padres. Shift back to the AL East. What did I just do on my phone? Go back to that because I'll need that later. AL East, the Orioles currently lead the division. I like the Blue Jays in this division. I also like the Red Sox. I like the way the Red Sox are built. Obviously, the Orioles, they're doing something right. They're in the division lead. But I just see Toronto coming back and taking the AL East. Boston as well. I mean, the Orioles aren't going to fall too far back, I don't think. They're better than the Yankees. They're better than the Rays. But I like Toronto and Boston. Those teams are built to win the American League East. But I'm calling Toronto to win the East. Boston will be a wild card team, and I don't see Baltimore getting it done down the stretch. Cleveland, I like Kansas City. I meant to say the AL Central, I like Kansas City. Looked at Cleveland first on my sheet and Freudian slip. But in the Central, I like Kansas City. I like Detroit too, and Chicago. There's a lot of parity in the Central until you get to Minnesota. Minnesota has 48 losses, and the Rangers have 46 wins. So Minnesota's lost almost as much as Texas has won, and that's not good, obviously. Almost spilled my Mountain Dew. I like Kansas City to win the division. Cleveland, Detroit, or Chicago is going to be the second wild card team. But Kansas City is going to win the Central. So look for, obviously, them to win the Central and Cleveland to finish second in that division. Moving to the West, I'm not going to go against Texas. They're my team, obviously. And they've got a 10-game lead right now over the Mariners. 9 or 10 games, something like that. So I like Texas to win the division. Seattle, though, Seattle actually had the lead earlier in the season for a brief time. So Seattle's a good ball club. But I like Texas. They've got everything going for them right now. Good bullpen. Good prospects. Nomar Mazara, Joey Gallo. I like Texas to win the West. I don't think any team from the West is going to make it to that second wild card spot, obviously. If there is a team that can do that, though, watch out for Houston. Houston was a playoff team last year. I like the way Houston's built. Obviously, they've got the tools. Altuve, Correa. They're a good ball club. So if any team from the West gets that wild card spot, wrestles it away from Boston or Toronto or Cleveland or Detroit or Chicago, any of those teams, watch for Houston because they are the second best team, in my opinion, in the American League West. Obviously now that covers the divisions for the American League, so let's transition to the National League. The Washington Nationals lead the East. I was actually surprised. I didn't know the Marlins were in second until I checked last night. They're having a better year than I thought they were. The New York Mets in third. Washington's clearly going to win that division. I don't want to say that because it's still pretty early, but Washington, I think, has the best chance of any team to come away with that division because they're a good team. I like them. I like the Mets, but I just don't think that they have enough to overcome the Nationals. They are back, 5.5 games right now. They could easily be a wild card team in the National League. Don't get me wrong, but I am calling it right now. The Nationals will win the National League East. Nationals, National League, there's a connection there. That was a bad pun. To the Central, the Chicago Cubs and the St. Louis Cardinals, both inhabitants of the Central. Man, it is an area divided. I got to say, I moved here from West Virginia 4 years ago, and from Okay, so we got to go through this now. Born in Fort Lauderdale, then moved to Tampa, then Lansing, Michigan. From Lansing down to, where was it? Bloomington, Illinois. They're in the Big 12 as well, Bloomington High School. From Bloomington to Lexington, Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky to Rogers, Arkansas, Rogers to West Virginia, and then West Virginia to here. Lived here for 4 years. I've never lived in an area that's just been so divided between one team or another team, and that's what you get here with the Cubs and the Cardinals. I got to say, I prefer the Cubs over the Cardinals. don't really hate either team, obviously. St. Louis, they wronged the Rangers in the World Series a few years ago. Mr. David Freese, he's not welcome in my house, I can tell you that. If I ever get a chance to host him for dinner, I would refuse that offer and host another player. I'm sure he's a good guy, but that's beside the point. Cubs have an 11.5 game lead over the Cardinals, and then the Pirates 14 games out, Milwaukee and Cincinnati. It's between the Cubs and the Cardinals. I think the Cubs are going to win that division easily. And, of course, they're my pick for the World Series this year, outside of the Rangers, of course. The Cardinals, though, they're good enough to get a wild card spot. Certainly, I mean, the Cardinals are a very good team. So they're actually behind the Marlins in the wild card standings right now. Excuse me. So watch for the Cardinals to get that wild card spot. Watch for the Cubs to win the division. And in the West, the Giants, I like the Giants a lot. They trail the Cubs by, it looks like, 3 games in terms of having the best record overall in the National League. The Giants, they're a good team. They play good baseball. The Dodgers are in second in that division, then the Rockies and the Diamondbacks and the Padres. Padres are not a factor. The Dodgers are a good team. They actually have a better record than the Cardinals, so that means it's the Dodgers and the Marlins in the wild card spots right now. I think that St. Louis is going to get past Miami. That's beside the point. Giants are a good team. It'll be the Dodgers and the Cardinals in the wild card spots, and every team leading the division in the National League right now, I predict, will hold on and win their division. Now we get to the postseason. And, you know, I think it's the Cubs' year. I really do. And, of course, now that I've jinxed them, knock on wood, within 5 years, I think they win a title easily, unless things just start falling apart left and right for them. Mountain Dew's been a big distraction for me. But within 5 years, I think they're going to get that title. They've got Schwarber's out with an injury this year, but they've got Chris Bryant, top prospect Wilson Contreras. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. I could be a little off. Had a good debut the other night. Hit a home run, I believe. You got Addison Russell, Jake Arrieta. Don't know how long you'll have him for. He's getting up there, age-wise, but he's clicking right now. So you use him while you got him. Within 5 years, more realistically 3, I think it's going to be a World Series year for the Chicago Cubs. It's been 100 and, do the quick math, I don't know, 100 and something. It's been a good deal of years, obviously, since the Cubs have won that World Series, 100 plus. So it's going to be them within 3 years. If they don't win it this year, I like the Rangers. But I guess there's nothing on that other page. But if I have to pick a team that's not the Rangers to upset the Cubs, it's going to be the Nationals or the Giants in the NLCS, and then they'll go on to win the World Series. But my main pick's the Cubs. Before I start rambling on, we're going to close down this talk about Major League Baseball. Coming up next, another edition of The Rundown. It was fun last week, and we'll do it again coming up next on The Joey Wright Show. Stick with us. And welcome back on The Joey Wright Show. Let's do another edition of The Rundown. It was a lot of fun last week. Last week I kept calling it the Joey Wright Rundown. This week I've shortened it. It's just The Rundown now. It's cleaner, crisper, more concise. It just fits better. And what The Rundown is, for new viewers, it's me discussing 5 pre-thought-up topics: baseball, NASCAR, football, hockey, and basketball, the 5 most popular sporting organizations in American sports. Obviously, the organization for baseball would be the MLB, football, and you get the point, get the idea. And, but that's boring. No one just wants to hear me talk about those topics because I know a good deal about them. So, to spice things up, what we do, we go on the old mobile device, cellular telephone, cell phone, and it's ratespeeches.com is the website I'm on, and it is the thing where you can generate speech topics. and I presume this is for people who want to give a speech but they don't know what to talk about. It's an issue I deal with pretty frequently. No. So you generate your speech topics. Just an example. I hit generate, and the topics it gives me this time: rugs, despair. We can't talk about that one on TV. And then employment application and audience. Ideally, you'd get 5 good ones. We got 4 there. So I'll do it again. Despair we can talk about on TV, but I'm not going to dive into the third one it gave me. So let's generate them again, and we'll get to the rundown. Cheesecake, eyeglasses, weight loss. So I got weight loss last week, so we'll generate it again. Eye contact, saliva, parsnips, capitalism, and carrots. Parsnips and carrots, huh? Capitalism, saliva, and eye contact. Well, let's write them down and get to the rundown. And I write them down so that I can see the timer as I do the, because I can't look at the thing on, I can't look at the topics on my phone and use the timer on my phone at the same time. Capitalism, and carrots. Carrots. I can get a sip of Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew is a big distraction for me during the baseball discussion. I want to point out real quick, this is a Mountain Dew pen, and this hat, if you didn't catch it during the first segment, is a Mountain Dew hat. I will discuss at a later date how I accrued these items. Accrued, there's another word I want to use there. Procured them, that's what I wanted to say. That makes more sense. But we will get to that at a later date. Maybe even later this episode, I don't know. The rundown, get the timer going. Clock. Timer, 30 seconds. Baseball. Get the ringer going. Stalling as much as I can, but here we go. Timer starts now. Baseball, obviously, I devoted a full segment to baseball earlier in the episode. I like the Cubs. I like, the Giants, the Nationals, everyone leading a division right now in the National League. I like the Rangers. I like the Blue Jays. I like the Red Sox. A lot of parity in the American League Central except the Twins. Any team from that division could do well. And the other division, obviously the AL West, I like the Rangers. And the Astros to have playoff chances, potential playoff chances, and the timer goes off. Eye contact. First episode of the Joey Wright Show of the new season, I didn't make a lot of eye contact with the camera. Second episode, I made a little more. I'm going to stare right at the camera until the timer goes off. How's that for eye contact? That felt good. NASCAR. It was an off week. Oh, got to start the timer. Last week it was an off week for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, but this week they go to a road course, the Sonoma Raceway in Sonoma, California. Big complaint that I hear from non-NASCAR fans is it's just a bunch of left turns. Well, those people are wrong, but I can't come at them in the time I have, but they're making right turns this weekend. It's on Fox Sports 1, Sunday afternoon, last race for Fox this season. I'm going to talk more about NASCAR later in the year, don't worry. I know so much about NASCAR, it's hard to condense that into just a 30-second time frame. But we'll move on. Saliva is our next topic. That's a weird topic to discuss. Obviously, it's in your mouth. Not making a lot of eye contact with the camera now. I'm just waiting for this timer to go off. Obviously, it's a necessary part of eating food and stuff like that. It's I don't know. It's a fan favorite. That's not at all what I meant to say, but we'll move on and talk about football. Obviously, last week, we're going to move on from that as soon as we can. Last week, I talked a little bit about football on the rundown and said I like the Vikings. Well, the Vikings certainly are not the only team that I like right now. We haven't even gotten to the preseason yet for football, obviously, so it's very hard to predict how things will turn out. I do like the Vikings, but I like several other teams as well, and by no means was my prediction, were my comments last week about the Vikings an indication that they're any better than any other team. That's what I'm trying to say. We're good. Next subject is parsnips. And parsnips, I like parsnips a lot, if they are the vegetable that I'm thinking of. I think I might be confusing them with another vegetable, but the parsnips that I'm remembering, they're kind of like potatoes, not a lot, but maybe they are. They're similar. I'll have to, during the break, I'll look up a picture of them and just kind of jog my memory, but if they are what I'm thinking of, I enjoy parsnips quite a bit. Quality vegetable are parsnips. Hockey. They're in the off-season now. The Pittsburgh Penguins, the champions of the National Hockey League. The draft is in a few days. I think it's on Thursday or Friday. You always like the NHL draft. The NHL just lacks the star power, I think, that the other sporting organizations have. A lot of people could name maybe Sidney Crosby, a few goalies, a few Blackhawks for fans here in Central Illinois, but hockey just needs more star power, would be my complaint with hockey. I'll devote some more time later in the season to hockey. Don't worry. Capitalism. Obviously, capitalism, the system that we in America have, capitalism. Capitalization really is how you start a sentence. I like capitalism. I do. It's business. You make money. It's better than perhaps other forms of isms. Social. I don't know. I don't want to say that because I don't know enough about the different. I'll have to research it more. But yeah. I want to talk more about politics at some point later on in the this season of the Joey Wright Show, but because there's a lot to talk about, but I just got to educate myself a little more on the issues before discussing them. Because politics, that's a hot button subject. But we'll move on and talk about basketball. Basketball, I got a gripe with the Golden State Warriors. I predicted them to win the World Series. I said the series wouldn't last 5 games. And lo and behold, it went the maximum length that it could have possibly gone, and the Golden State Warriors didn't even win. So thanks, Golden State. Maybe you'll do better next year. I hope you don't. They might get KD. It's a rumor going around. The rumor mill, it's heating up. Free agency's coming. The draft is coming. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the Warriors anymore, I'll tell you that. And carrots. Last week, the last subject we covered was grief. This week, it's carrots. I'd say carrots is a little bit lighter than grief. Oh, man. Carrots, I like carrots. I like baby carrots with ranch. I like big carrots, still with ranch. Not a big fan of cooked carrots, but I like carrots. Baby carrots and ranch, that's a good little snack right there. And, yeah, I implore you to eat baby carrots and ranch. Oh, man, I don't know what's going on. Nose itches. So that does it for this episode, this edition, of The Rundown. We'll close down the show when we come back. Give you a little preview of what's coming up for Season 4. Stick with us on The Joey Wright Show. And welcome back to the Joey Wright Show. We're about to close things down, the third episode of Season 2. I'm on social media, Joey_Wright. What did I just say? Joey_Wright99 is my Twitter handle. I believe that's my Instagram username as well. I don't even use Instagram anymore, though, so if you find me on there, great. If not, no big deal. I'm on there. I'm on Facebook. If you find me there, that's also, good for you. I don't post much on there anymore. I think I've posted one thing in the last calendar year. 0 things if you take out the advertisements for the show. But I'm on there. You can find me on there. I have it. I check it. I just don't post anything. I'm on Kick as well. So there are ways to contact me, obviously. Give me input for what you think I should do on the show. I really would appreciate it, because I don't know what the viewers want unless the viewers tell me what they want. Otherwise, I'm just kind of guessing. But I'd like to thank all the viewers for tuning in, and stick with us next week on the Joey Wright Show. Got a lot planned if I follow through on those things. Didn't follow through on, some of the things that I had planned for this week. But it is all good. So tune in 1 week's time for episode 4 of the Joey Wright Show. I am Joey Wright, and I retired my "You Stay Safe, America" catchphrase. So I'm still trying to find a new one, but just have a nice week.